Hey everybody, in this video we're going to do a quick recap of yesterday's election results. And we've got the New York Times pulled up, and we did have a great stream last night. Thanks to everybody that showed up for it. It went pretty well, we answered a lot of questions, and now we're going to cover the results. And of course, some of them are still trickling in, but there was no significant upset. Mostly the status quo was maintained, but Democrats probably with the slightly better night here. First, we'll start in Kentucky for governor. Andy Beshear, the incumbent, he wins a second term. He's got a 5-point margin over Daniel Cameron. That was not really unexpected. I had him winning by about 4. He got it by about 5. He just performed a little bit better in all the counties. Jefferson County, he got 70% of the vote, and Beshear is popular, so he should have been able to hold on. He does. Daniel Cameron, he's young. He's got other offices he can run for. I would guess he could run for the Mitch McConnell seat, or he could even try to run for governor next time after Andy Beshear is term limited out. So the status quo is maintained in Kentucky. The state legislature there overwhelmingly Republican. Beshear probably going to issue a bunch of vetoes. Now, in the other statewide races in Kentucky, it all goes in the opposite direction. Republicans dominate all of them. There's not much to say about it. You can take a look at that if you'd like. And again, all the links will be down below in the description. Now, let's move on to the other big race for governor. That was in Mississippi. Incumbent Tate Reeves, the Republican, he also wins re-election to a second term. There's still a little bit of vote outstanding, but right now Reeves is at almost 52, Presley at about 47. Reeves was expected to hold on. He also avoids a runoff. He wasn't popular, but the partisan lean of the state carried him to victory. Some of the margins he did a little bit better on. Some of them he did a little bit worse on if you compare it to 4 years ago. So if you put Reeves up against Andy Beshear, Beshear improved a little bit more upon his previous margin. But both of these governors winning with a similar margin, about 5 points, which is borderline lean likely territory. Now, with the other statewide races in Mississippi, similar to Kentucky, Republicans cleaned up. They got all of them by wide margins. The state legislature, I haven't really looked to see if anything has flipped. It's not as big of a deal anymore. Now that Reeves has won re-election, we don't have to worry about vetoes. It's not going to be the same dynamic as it would be if Brandon Presley had won, but Presley falls short. I don't know where he goes from here. He made it competitive, just not quite competitive enough. Now, the next race to take a look at, the Virginia General Assembly. This was a prominent race. All the seats in the state house and the state senate were up for grabs, and it was expected to be very close. And as of now, Democrats have a 1-seat majority in the state senate, 21-19, and in the state house, they're at 51 seats out of 100. That means they will control both of those chambers. There are a couple of seats to be called in both the senate and the house. If the leads hold, though, it would be 21-19, and in the house, it would be the narrowest of majorities, 51-49. For the Democrats. So that is a blow to Glenn Youngkin, the governor, but I don't really think there's any kind of a mandate here. A 1-seat majority, I think, is basically a coin flip. Democrats, they're going to celebrate, but I don't think they should overplay their hand. Youngkin is popular, just like Andy Beshear in Kentucky. Beshear's popularity did not translate in the previous election to Democrats making gains in the state legislature. So for Youngkin in Virginia, it's disappointing for him that he was not able to make some gains, but it's not like he got blown out. That would be a different story. Now, other elections, we've got Ohio. We've got issue 1 and issue 2. Issue 1 is about abortion. Issue 2 is marijuana legalization. Both of them passed by double digits. The margin was similar on both issues. The counties were not necessarily exactly the same, but you can take a look at these here if you'd like. Both of them were expected to pass. But it is fair to point out, if the previous issue 1 a couple of months ago had raised the threshold for a constitutional amendment to pass in Ohio to 60%, then both of these theoretically would have failed. That's why that issue in the past was so important. So that means these issues do pass, and I suppose on these 2 issues, Democrats probably also viewed that as a victory. Now let's go on to Pennsylvania. We had a state Supreme Court election here. This one, the Democrat comes out on top, about 53-47. Dan McCafferty takes home the win. He will maintain the Democratic majority on that court. 5-2 will be the balance of power. Carolyn Carluccio, the Republican, she was able to win Erie County. So even with a win in Erie, not enough to even make it super competitive. That, I think, is probably going to be the biggest problem for the Republicans heading into next year. If it is Trump on the ballot, they better hope he's able to turn out a lot of voters that do not normally turn out for elections. The anti-Trump vote also might come out against him. But if Trump does not do better than this, Pennsylvania is going to be off the table for the Republicans. We've also got Philadelphia mayor here, not at all expected to be competitive. The Democrat wins that just shy of 50 points. Let's move on to Rhode Island. We had a special election there for the U.S. House. Was not expected to be competitive, and it wasn't. Gabe Amo wins with about 65% of the vote, and that's very close to the same margin that David Cicilline won back in the midterms. So those are most of the key races. One other one to take a glance at here is in Texas. We've got Houston mayor. That's headed to a runoff between John Whitmire and Sheila Jackson Lee. Those are two big names local to Houston and Harris County. Both of them are in their 70s. John Whitmire, very long-time state senator there. Sheila Jackson Lee, longtime U.S. representative. So that's going to be a big showdown. That runoff is December 9th. Right now, it looks like Whitmire is favored, but there's time left. We'll see what happens. So those are the main races. A lot of other states had local elections. There were school boards, city councils, and of course, some ballot measures scattered across some other states. So what are the takeaways from these results? Well, The Hill says Virginia Democrats win full control of State House, dealing blow to GOP ahead of 2024. So did Democrats have a slightly better night than the Republicans? Yeah, I would say so. But I also don't think they should overplay their hand. The abortion issue does matter, but there's going to be a point where it actually doesn't have as much weight anymore. There's a lot of other issues out there, and if Democrats are so reliant on abortion, then it seems like they're glad the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade. If they didn't, what would they have to run on? Now we do shift our attention toward 2024. First, we have to get through the holidays to see what's going to happen with someone like Joe Manchin. Is he going to run for re-election in the Senate? Is he going to go for no labels? How about Larry Hogan? What's he going to do? Is Bernie Sanders going to run for re-election next year? And then we're going to head toward the Iowa caucus and into the primary season. But next year is a lifetime away. Trump has a ton of baggage, but he does activate a lot of low propensity voters, and there's a lot of issues that do favor the Republicans. Abortion is not one of them, but some voters are motivated by other issues. Biden not looking too strong right now, but if Democrats are only going to rely on abortion and overperformance in some of these elections, that might turn into a sense of complacency. And we all know what happened in 2016, where so many of the polls underestimated Trump and election day hit like a ton of bricks. That could easily happen again. It might not happen, but there are some different outcomes to be prepared for. So a little bit of a mixed bag on some of these results. No significant upsets. It is going to be a little bit tougher for Youngkin to govern in Virginia. I'm sure the Democrats are going to try to craft legislation to weaken Youngkin's position. He is or was kind of a rising star with the Republicans. He has been popular. He might do well with the Democratic General Assembly. Or maybe he can't handle it. He sinks and he's out of the picture. But either way, unless he had a phenomenal night, I don't think he was going to run for president. At this point, there's no chance I think he's going to run. I think he's going to finish out his term as governor. He could always run for the Senate. Maybe down the road, if he's still relevant, he could run for president. If Trump ended up winning, I could see him taking a cabinet position. But it's going to be interesting going forward. Extremely narrow margin for the Democrats in Virginia. That pretty much covers the 2023 off-year elections. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about any of these results? What are your takeaways? Any big surprises? Or do you think it's mostly the status quo? Let me know down below. On your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.